Hi everybody, I'm Vivian and I'm here today with owner and operator of the Bee-stro, Jodi Lohrman.
Thanks, Vivian. This is awkward, isn't it?
A little bit, but.
So, you want to tell who you are and why you're doing this?
Yeah, so I don't really know what my role is at this point. Just seasonal waitress and intermittent marketing intern for Jodi. Yeah, I've helped videographer.
But you started.
Yes.
You started when you were 14.
15.
Right? 15.
Yes.
15 with us. Were we your first job where you had to pay taxes?
Yeah. Yes.
That's your first real job. Whenever you got to give the government some. So, yeah, and you've been with us every year. And for the last couple of years, Vivian's been at IU, and we always think, oh, you know, Vivian and Tanner, they came at the same, well, Vivian, actually, you're our longest continuous seasonal employee outside of family. Wow.
It's true.
So, anyway, you've been coming back the last couple of years, and it's like, oh, you know, bye. Whenever it comes fall time, it's like, bye, you know, won't see you again. And then in the spring, they ask if they can come back, and it's like, yay, they're coming back, because we love them. So, anyway, that's Vivian.
That kind of wraps it up, as to who I am. So, today is a little bit less about me and more about you. So, who is Jodi? And, give us a little bit of background and a little bit of background on, you know, why you started the restaurant and the timeline of all of that.
Okay. So if you've been here, our story is up on the wall, so you've read the story, or if you've watched one of our visual menus every week, then you get a little bit of our story, because we had a customer actually write a song based on the story we have on the wall. So not to be too redundant, but Andy, my husband, and I were high school sweethearts, and we talked about owning a restaurant and it being in our home when we were in high school. And then shortly afterwards, about that time, because we graduated in '87, I'm not sure whenever Companies Coming opened with Jan Stapp, but they had a restaurant in their home, and it was like, oh, you know, it is a possibility, it could happen. And I think she was open for 7 years, and it was a lovely tea room restaurant. And it just made you feel special whenever you went in there. And then, you know, living life, having kids, and it just got to be about the right time in life. Whenever our girls were a little bit older, and I hadn't quite hit 50 yet, but I was approaching 50. And Andy was building a building that he thought was going to be his wood shop. And I just asked him, I said, can I take a portion of your wood shop for a restaurant? And he graciously said yes, and so we started the Bee-stro, and we opened our doors in April of 17, and so we're seasonal, so we're actually in our 10th season, even though, you know, it's not 27 yet. And it's a family restaurant. Both of our girls have worked the restaurant. First 4 years, Sophie was with us every shift, and she's our youngest. And then, and what she made, we didn't pay for our girls' college, but what she made at the restaurant actually paid her way through Ivy Tech, as she's a massage therapist now, and so actually it would have been a lot cheaper for us to have just paid for her school at Ivy Tech and starting a restaurant. And then Judah, same thing, and Judah, God love her, she has worked with us all 10 seasons, and for the first several years she was working full-time at Cook Medical. She was going to school full-time, and she was working for us every shift too, well, except for lunch on Fridays. But so it's, and then Andy retired in 22, and he came on board full time. So that's us.
So I'm sure that owning a restaurant, you know, you have some desire to cook. I don't know if it's like your passion. But like, what is your passion, and like, what makes you, want to keep the restaurant alive and well?
Okay, so I have a firm belief that everyone has a creative outlet, because we are created by God, and He's creative, and if we're made in His image, then everybody has a creative outlet. And I have one creative outlet, and that's cooking. So, and I also believe that your creative outlet can also be how you make your living too. I
mean, we see that with like carpentry. We see it with, you know,
being an artist, you know,
exactly.
some artists and stuff, dancers, musicians, you know. And so, and I feel like it's my ministry too. You know, whatever God gives you with, that is your ministry. So, what was your question?
I guess you kind of answered. I mean, like, what you're passionate about. And, how that, like, helps you want to, like, continue the restaurant. Okay, so that's the cooking aspect of it. But then the hospitality aspect of it. Our house was always the hub whenever our girls were younger, of everybody coming together and doing stuff. And I can remember we built this house ourselves. I was painting the foyer closet one day, and as we were building, and I was just praying. I was like, Lord, I don't know why you have blessed us with a house like this, but I want to use it for your glory, whatever it is that whoever you want to bring in, I want to use it for your glory. This house is not just for us. And so I really feel that sense of it. And then I had my grandma Pell. She was she's a big inspiration to this place. Most people around here take home some of their meal because it's too much. Most people do, not everybody, but that's because you never left Grandma's house without taking home food, and so that's kind of homage to her. And everyone was welcome at her table. And then I had an Aunt Norma, and I read something in the last couple of years that talked about sloppy hospitality, and I love that, because sloppy hospitality is your house doesn't have to be perfect to allow people to come in. You know, you make them feel like they're part of the family, and I hope that we have done that with you know, at least some of our customers. It's not HGTV. You're right. That's right. And you know, I'm kind of a hot mess sometimes, and I'm not Martha Stewart at all. But I want people to feel relaxed and feel comfortable. So, you've gotten a little bit more into making videos, having guests on, doing some cooking with them. What's your like inspiration behind that? And what's your reason as to like why? Okay, so the reason why is a little bit different than why we got started. So let me go back to why we got started, and then don't let me forget to do the why, okay? Because life has happened a lot since we did our first video. We did our first video in 19, I think it was. It was Suzanne Crouch, who was the lieutenant governor at the time. And she had been to our house prior to having a restaurant, and she's a great lady. And we had made fish, and she loved the fish and wanted the recipe after she'd left. And she even did our dishes, which, you know, that's pretty nice, an elected official, you know. So a public servant. So she was coming back to the area, and I said, would you want to do a cooking video? And I don't even know why I said that to her. But she did, and it was great. And Suzanne doesn't cook, and you know, but it was great. You know, it was fun. And then in 2020, before COVID actually hit, we were doing these cooking videos with just interesting people. And the girls were still at home then, and they were our videographer. Now Vivian is our videographer. But anyway, it was just fun. It was just getting to know people that are interested in getting their stories out. Then whenever we started doing them again, recently, I think we started them last year, is when we started doing them again. It was primarily for political people is who we've started interviewing again, but
that's not going to be all the people that we do. It's just, you know, they seem to have a little bit more of an interest because we don't really have a lot of famous people in Indiana. But anyway, my motivation was we are so divided, and we get into like our little camps, and we forget that these people are humans, and that we have more in common than what we have against each other. And so I'm just trying to bring back the humanity. Food is the most basic human need. And so food is a great way to bring people together. I have definitely had people that I don't agree with at the table and in the kitchen with me. But I hope that you can't tell that. And then there's people that I should be against, that I have found that we have a lot more in common. And I think that that's the main thing. We're all made in the image of God, and so we all have something in common there that we need to tap into instead of being against each other all the time.
Yeah.
That's my motivation.
That's good. Yeah, food is such a common connector, and, you know, it's all like with Jesus and the disciples, like they sat down and broke bread. So I think, this is a great way to connect with people.
That's right. And I'd like for them to bring me a recipe that means something to them, because I'd like to hear that story, because we all have that recipe, you know, whether it was what was served at your birthday meal, or, you know, your favorite thing at the church potluck that you hoped was on the buffet line, you know. We all have that, and I just think I just feel like that is such a connectability. And so we're gonna have some different people coming up that you know, people may shake their head as to why we're doing those videos, but they're important, and I hope people watch them.
It's a little bit different from a person who is curating these videos and, you know, picking your guests, talking to them and whatnot. But what do you hope that your viewers and that your listeners and customers get out of this?
I hope that they open up their minds to people that maybe they think that they disagree with, and accept that, you know what, maybe they're not all bad. Andy has said for years, no one is as all good and no one is as all bad as what you think. And just kind of expounding on that, I think I think doing the cooking videos, and what I'm hoping that people get out of that is the expansion of that little wisdom from Andy.
Yeah, I agree with that. So obviously we have some very cool guests that come on, but who would be your dream guest on your cooking videos?
Okay. I would love to have, and this is going to be political, and people will be upset about this. I would love to have Thomas Massey, because I think he has a very unique story. I like independent thinkers. I like people who will not be bullied, and I think he's that type of person. He's probably my number one. I don't know a lot of pop culture people, you know.
Yeah.
You know that, working with me. I think it'd be fun to do John Mellencamp.
I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah, and see, they're on totally different ends of the spectrum.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I'd like to have a cigarette with John Mellencamp. I don't smoke anymore, but I used to. But anyway, those are two that I think would be interesting. I think that there's a lot of, one of the things that I want to do is try to have people who have had businesses, you know, in the past in Clay County, those businesses that we all remember and like. I think that would be fun to do that too. I'm kind of working on that. I have to say, doing the cooking videos and having the restaurant open is hard, because I know that we're only open 3 days a week, and people think that we, you know, have all this time during the week, but we also do a lot of catering, and then, you know, life just happens.
Yeah.
And it takes a lot of prep whenever you make everything from scratch. So there's really not a lot of time. We have to fit it in at just the right amount of time. So we're hoping in the future to expand the cooking videos and stuff like that. So hopefully there'll be more.
Yeah.
And hopefully there'll be some that will actually, you know, just even if we don't have guests, that we show how to make some things that we make around here too.